if you manage to relax and control your thoughts and ease into it, your cortisol levels go down. High cortisol interferes with sleep, and interferes with sugar metabolism, and interferes with recovery. It interferes with fertility. Again, it's a little bit of a circle, but yes. So I think my number one message would be: yes, you want to get good sleep. Yes, you shouldn't neglect it. Sleep. Don't sleep too little. Don't sleep too much. But the main thing is that it's going to come naturally if you let it. And I would always concentrate on just letting it happen naturally first. Just relax, meditate.
So you mentioned something there that I thought was interesting. You were saying, sometimes we're just too stressed, and and I was saying, my ladies are busy, and for whatever reason, all of this ties in. If you go to bed and you are absolutely exhausted and you crash out into a deep sleep and you don't wake up, but you only get 5 hours. Because I think the common perception, and I know you don't necessarily agree with this, but the common perception is that if you get 6 to 8 hours sleep, that's your benchmark. Now, I know from our previous conversations that it's a personal thing, but can you just delve into that quality versus quantity, and how it affects individuals, and what factors to look out for what is right for you?
Sure. Yeah, no, it's a really good point. I'm glad you bring it up. So yes, this is a myth out there that says we need around 8 hours sleep of a night on average, and it's just not true. Studies don't back it up. First of all, sleep is very individualized. So what one person finds adequate, another person may not. From a whole stack of observational studies, when we look at millions of people and we see how long they sleep, we ask them how long they sleep, and some of them go to a sleep lab where we actually measure how long they sleep versus how they perceive how long they sleep. We know that majority of people actually sleep between kind of 7.5 to 8 hours. Majority being around 7.5. So that's where that range lies. Having said that, there are people who manage on 6 hours a night, and they do fantastically well. Classically it would be a high achiever, the CEO of something. They sleep 6 hours and they function at a very high level. So clearly that is enough for them.
Is that, and maybe I'm going too deep into the whole rabbit hole now, so tell me if I am, but is that, do you know that because they're supplementing the 6 hours sleep perhaps with cortisone from the stress, these high achievers? So they're one's kind of supplementing the other.
I think ultimately it could be, but if they feel well and they feel optimal and they don't feel less stressed, then that's enough for them. Okay. So what we know from obviously there are different stages of sleep, but what we know again from studies and looking at relationship between sleep and long-term health is that there's an amount of core sleep per night which our body has to have to function, to survive, and that seems to be around the 5.5 hour mark, so 5 to 6. That is like deep sleep and part of the REM, kind of rapid eye movement sleep when we dream. That is the core sleep that our body has to have during the day to function well, and that is the type of sleep that we will try to catch up on, so that our body will take it